evening, mate, and welcome to Dyson Sphere with me, Ginny, and of course, the wonderful Mr. Icarus. Today, I want to do a Dark Fog dossier. I want to give you guys a copy of all the information I've gathered in my many hours of playing with the Dark Fog in Dyson Sphere, all the information I've found about the Dark Fog, a couple of things, how they spawn, how they gain matter and both energy, how they farm things, how to farm them, and just importantly, how to kill them. But that is going to be the point of today's video, to really give you guys a full outlook on everything Dark Fog, so you can know just as much about the Dark Fog as I do. But before I get into any of that, I want to ask a favor. I want to ask a simple favor, small favor. I just like to borrow a like. I like to borrow a like early in the video. If you're not happy with the video, you didn't enjoy the video, you didn't think the video was worth your like, by all means, Icarus has said that you can have it back. So let's break down the Dark Fog. Now, I'm actually going to be splitting this video into two separate videos, one for just the planetary base and the ground units, and a second one for the hive. There's an awful lot of information to go over, and I really thought it would be better if we split the video into two separate videos, just to make it a little bit more easy to digest. I will link down in the description, also up in the top right-hand corner, also in the pinned comment below, the second video when it's available. Okay, first off, let's talk about the parts of the space, well, the parts of the planetary base. First off, we have the relay station. Now, the relay station sits in, well, upper air. Upper air is technically where it sits. It's not in orbit, it's not in space, it's not on the ground, it's not in the air. It's in a special limbo zone, being upper air. The relay station does two very important things. One, it gets energy. There is a whole bunch of solar collectors. Let me just zoom out a little bit. Whole bunch of solar collectors on the back of it. They are going to capture a whole bunch of energy. On top of that, it also receives matter. It receives matter from the planetary base below, which is mining matter, and parks the matter up here in the relay, already waiting for it to be shipped off back to the hive. If I again zoom out and we have a look at some of these ships coming in right now, they are what's known as heavy barges. The heavy barges are the Dark Hive's version of a logistics vessel, and they are going to be collecting the matter from the relay station and actually shipping it back to the hive. It's going to be very important that it gets shipped back to the hive, and it will only happen if the relay station actually has an abundance of matter. So we can see this one, well, it doesn't have a lot of matter, mainly because, well, it keeps consuming all of it, sending out ships, whereas this one right here has an awful lot of matter. It's actually stacked up in matter. So these barges are going to come in, they're going to pick up that matter, and then they'll fly it back to the hive, which will let the hive expand and get larger and also make more ships. There is a couple of ways you can starve out both the hives and the planetary bases, but we're going to talk about things one at a time. Can we land a little bit faster and take back off? Nope, I gave up waiting. All right, other thing I should mention very quickly is the 4.8 megawatts worth of power that the relay stations receive. That is irrespective of the sun, okay? So even if you're in a different system which has a higher luminosity or a lower luminosity, the relay stations are always going to receive 4.8 megawatts worth of power. Okay, next one is the planetary base, the bottom half. And can we get right the way in here so we get this pop up, and then we can talk through the details. So as you can see, this has, well, a certain amount of energy and a certain amount of matter. The matter is absorbed from the ground and the energy comes from the relay station above. Now, every single planetary base seems to chew more energy than what the relay stations actually provide. I don't know if that's a bug. I don't know if that's a feature. I don't know if that's something developers are working on, but that's where it seems to be currently. Also, the matter numbers don't seem to change, but then again, the game is in early access. The stats and details have definitely changed. We've already had a couple of patches for Dark Fog, so I imagine more are going to come in the future. All right, next thing we want to talk about are these little tracks here. These little tracks are guideways. They are actually what the Dark Fog uses to transfer both matter and energy from building to building. Now, unfortunately, you can't target these. If you can target or could target these and you take these out, it'll actually power down every single building that's attached to, well, that guideway. So if you can take out one of these main arteries, it's going to actually power down this whole row of buildings. So that is something to keep in mind. If you can take out some of the central buildings, you can actually disable some of, well, a lot of the other buildings. But generally in the moments of the combat, the heat of combat, you're sort of shooting anything that moves. All right, so that's the guideway itself. Next off, we need to talk about the offensive structures. So we have the plasma sentry. Now, the plasma sentry, every single hive is guaranteed when it first spawns to have 3 of the plasma sentries. Everybody out of the way. I just said out of the way. Gosh. 3 plasma sentries. Guaranteed to have 3 plasma sentries around the outside. Also guaranteed to have 3 of these buildings. We'll talk about those in just a second. But the plasma sentries are extremely dangerous. Very, very deadly to Icarus. They will take him out in 1, maybe 2 shots, even with a number of upgrades. They are very, very dangerous to deal with. Also, don't forget, as the planetary bases level up, so does the damage output of all of the buildings, and so does their hit points. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, the other offensive building we have is the high energy laser tower. High energy laser tower, same story. It is well, very, very deadly to Icarus. Please keep your distance. And same story, it also levels up as the planetary base levels up as well. A little bit less deadly than the plasmas, but yes, you have been warned. Also, I should mention, range-wise, the quickest way to work out some ranges is the missile turrets and also the implosion cannons have a range of 58 meters and 60 meters respectively. These guys will outrange you, easily outrange you. They will not attack your buildings, it seems, unless your buildings attack it first. So that's a thing, that's a feature, so maybe you can use that to your advantage. Also, they won't attack Icarus even if he is inside that range. Well, yes, if he's inside that range but a building is in front of him, they'll target the building first. If Icarus happens to shoot the base, well then Icarus becomes prime target number 1 and generally gets obliterated. So maybe turn off your weapons by deactivating them until you have a number of upgrades. Yeah, okay. Next thing we need to talk about is the unit types. So we'll jump across the unit types because there are 3 different types of units. First off, actually, I can get my mouse to pop up with a pop-up box. I'd really like that. One of those. Energetic can hopefully pause the video. These ones are the Raiders, okay? The Raiders are the ground units. They're going to be the most common units you start dealing with, and they pop out of, well, these 3 buildings. These 3 buildings around the outside of the Raider camps. As you can see, well, hopefully you can see, the pattern of the planetary base is pretty repeatable. It's not 100% repeatable, but it's pretty repeatable. And as you can see, there are a number of Raider camps all the way around the outside to make sure that this thing can pump out Raiders very, very quickly. The amount of Raiders it can pump out actually has to do with the energy and matter reserves of the actual planetary base itself. So if you drain it by, well, in the case of this one over here, which is very low on both matter and energy because everything that spawns happens to be inside aggro range and goes and wanders over to these lasers and probably dies, well, it's going to be a lot easier to take out. Okay, next thing we need to talk about are these little buildings here. These little, well, spiky buildings here. These are the Ranger camps. So the Ranger camps are going to be pumping out these types of units, these types of mid-height units. Again, hopefully Energetic can pause and break out that little pop-up. The Rangers are interesting vehicles. They're considered to be ground, not an air unit. Yep, everything is considered to be ground. It's weird, but well, low air. Low air is probably more accurate rather than air or ground. It's low air. Okay, these guys are, well, slightly lower damage, slightly lower hit points, but they have a longer range than well, the Raiders, hence why they're called the Rangers, because that's really confusing. The other thing is they tend to move a lot faster. So your guns spend a long time trying to seek them, to try and get a lock on them, to try and shoot them, rather than actually shooting them. This is probably why they tend to do more damage to your base than the Raiders on the ground, even though the Raiders on the ground technically have a higher DPS and more more total hit points, but it's something to keep in mind. And then finally we have in the air, we have, oh god, trying to get a pop-up on it. We got one, there we go. In the air we have the Guardians. Now the Guardians are, they have a blurb, and hopefully, like I said, Energetic can put that blurb on the screen. They're meant to have more hit points, more damage, more defenses, blah, blah, blah. But stats-wise that's shown, they seem to be a sort of a mix of the other two units the Dark Fog has. The biggest thing that they have is they actually hang around at the planetary base. They don't fly off, they don't come and attack you, they're just going to stay here. They're going to wait for you to attack them, at which point they become a giant hassle very, very quickly. They actually spawn out of these little buildings right here. There are going to be less of these buildings around the outside than in the other buildings, and that is, well, generally because they spawn last. The other end of the building we need to talk about is this one here. This one that to me looks like a radar tower or an antenna. This is an unknown structure. The unknown structure does unknown things. Can we just right the way in there? Right the way. No. There we go. Unknown structure. Unknown structure. This building's been mentioned all reports, but nothing is known. It's got no functions. I expect this is 100% future content that hasn't been released yet. The devs have said they are working on, well, the Dark Fog Part 2, which will be a later update we'll be getting sometime in the future, which will give us more options with space combat, along with probably a few updates to the ground-based combat. Next thing I need to talk about is, well, a feature. If we can see on this particular raging camp, it is going into, well, it's currently replicating, and it is going to go, or has just gone into turbo mode. During turbo mode, no, we're replicating. Here we go. We're replicating, we're in a turbocharged mode. So in turbocharged mode, they will pump out units much faster than they normally would, and that is definitely something you want to avoid when you're in an attack run. They do have a cooldown. The cooldown depends on the level of the actual hive. So as it gets higher up in level, the suppressing the turbo section gets much shorter, much shorter, and they'll actually go into turbocharging for a much longer period of time. But as you can see, this particular Guardian camp has a whole bunch of matter, so it's going to be pumping out units fairly regularly without too much hassles. It's also going to chew through its energy reserves. Energy reserves are linked to the relay, and we haven't done anything to limit the amount of power from the relay station itself. Okay, so that is, well, the different buildings and the different units. Now we should talk about how to deal with, well, the hives. There's a couple of options you have. Obviously, taking out the main planetary base kills it. All the different buildings end up with only what reserves they have in the building, so what matter they have currently, what energy they have currently. Also, don't forget, every single one of these buildings is slowly consuming energy, so it actually burns through its energy reasonably quickly. Once that happens, the whole thing becomes very muted. The catch is that building's in the middle, very hard to hit. Your other option is up in the sky. Up in the sky is the relay station, and what's the best way of doing this? I guess the best way of doing this is with a single rocket launcher and hope that they don't get too grumpy at me. Can I put a single rocket launcher here? Ammo. Can I give you good quality ammo? Okay, good quality ammo. Yep, cool. All right, rocket launcher has a ground range of 60 meters. So therefore, you're going to shoot this far. Has a space range of 4,200 meters. Which is important, we'll get that later, and has a pitch limit of, degrees to degrees, blah, 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 blah. But also has the option of shooting upper air. Upper air is the relay stations themselves. So if I set you to low, you should shoot the relay. And if we take out the relay, it means that this base, Icarus, can you put on some weapons? Oh, you're out of ammo. Here. Oh, really? Oh, it blew up. Okay. Have more ammo. Yeah. Now, obviously, when you shoot this, a couple of things happen, as you might have noticed. Friends come across. That's really annoying. Also, you're going to... I'm in passive mode, so I don't have... It's just annoying. It's just annoying. Go away. Here. Can I... No, close up. Oh. Oh, I don't want to shoot that. Oh, whatever. I'll just make more ammo, feed it in. It's fine. Here, have more ammo. Okay. Also, they repair very quickly. Something you need to keep in mind as well. So, if I take this out... oh, I said that's the lowest priority. My bad. It's alright. They killed it again. We'll make another one. Oh no, it went away. Cool. It went away. It's solved. Okay. Once we take out that particular hive, can I turn off my weapons, please? Cool. Once we take out that planetary base, a couple of things are going to happen. Well, the relay station. So, a couple of things are going to happen. You are going to slowly start running out of energy. As we can see, we have 4.1... 4 gigajoules, and it's counting down very quickly. So as it runs out of power, Well, it's going to be less likely to repair buildings. It's going to be less likely to spawn units. It's going to have a harder time at existing. At the same time, as they're taking out those relay stations, they technically belong to the hive. So you're going to get a threat for the hive, whichever hive it belongs to. As you can see, this is linked to beta hive, being this one. This is linked to epsilon hive. I think it's epsilon. I don't know. Greek alphabet I'm not great on. So I'm guessing this one was linked to Alpha Hive. It really depends. We'll be covering relay stations in more detail in the follow-up video where we're covering hives, because they sort of belong a little bit more with the hive section. But we'll cover that with the space hives in the future. So now that this is going to run out of power, it's going to be a little bit easier to deal with, a little bit easier to manage, and it also means less units are going to spawn, which is really what I care about. We're down to 800. Okay, can we come out to here? I don't think I can shoot anything. I can't. Can I activate a weapon? I'll do. Activate that weapon. And that weapon. Okay, just blow up all that. Please. Thank you. And what are we at now? We're now down to 0 energy. So insufficient power, everything is going to start powering down. All the lasers, as you can see, all the lights have disappeared. This is a very, very different problem to deal with. So if I just turn on Icarus's laser now, the bare basics, turn on that for half a second. Go away. I just want to see this panel. Maybe just turn on the bullets. Yeah, can you go away? Okay. It means I can now stand freely in here. I don't have to worry about the plasma sentries. I don't have to worry about lasers. Life just got a whole lot easier. Icarus, you're shooting the things. Oh, you're annoying. That's one of those guardians. That's super annoying. Yeah, there's a stack of them above me. Oh, dead. Not dead. Do you keep respawning? No, there was just an absolute stack of them sitting in the same tile. Okay, as I said, now we've sucked out all its energy. Way easier to deal with, okay? We can't stop its matter creation because it actually makes matter itself from the planetary base. But once this is dead, we can then talk about, well, a couple of different ways we can cap them. Yeah, can we just blow up that and that and that and that one as well? Yeah, and that one. And that one, please. And we're going to deactivate that because that weapon is extremely dangerous. Okay. After there's no buildings left, I have a couple of options. One, I could fill this in with soil, which will fill in the giant hole down to the bottom of the earth. The other option is, under power, you can put in a geothermal power station. Now, if you put in a geothermal power station, we can see that these normally make 4.8 megawatts worth of power. And if I hold this over this, it's going to tell me I'm going to get 520% power. The amount of power you're going to get is actually based on the level of the planetary base. So it starts off a flat 300% with a level 0 planetary base. And then every single time the planetary base goes up a level, you get 10% extra geothermal power. Planetary bases max out at level 30, which means potentially you could have a geothermal plant that you whack down that's going to give you 28.8 megawatts worth of power, which is an awful lot of power. Also, you can see the core is destroyed here, so this means that this base is not coming back, both because I destroyed the core and technically I destroyed the relay. If a new relay does come to this planet, it's going to land somewhere else on the planet, and it's going to cause me to have yet another base I need to clean up. So can we just throw, where were you? That. That's out of combat mode. We'll throw that there. And yes, you're going to produce a whole lot of megawatts worth of power. 24.9. Nice. Okay. So this is one way of dealing with, well, bases. Yes. If you wish to get Icarus in and down and dirty. There's a couple of other ways that we need to talk about. The first one is probably the way I recommend for dealing with low-level bases, and I have this set up over here. Now, you can build buildings fairly safely as long as they're down. They're powered down. If they're powered down, the dark fog is not terribly interested in chewing on them, which is very, very handy. Also, you can build buildings closer to a base if, well, they're also powered down. So what I want to do is I want to show you guys the Trident method. Trident method involves a belt full of ammo and just Gauss guns. Now, my Gauss guns technically have all the upgrades available up until the first level of infinite research, but this applies to, well, even at lower level bases. These are level 16 bases, so I expect to take heavy losses, but it works all the way up to level 10, level 12, level 14 without too much problems with pretty basic upgrades. But our plan is quite a simple one. We're going to blueprint, well, three guns, the belts attached, and a single power pop. And then we're going to go in here and I'm going to paste. I'm going to press the minus button so the belts overlap. No, I don't want to go that way. I want to go that way. And I want to blueprint those right to the front line. Yeah, I'm going to have some warning about how I can't build things due to the buildings in the way or a lack of foundations. We're going to hit Shift and Enter. And, well, we're going to start placing them down. Now, I need to power this up. And I'm going to power this up only when they start shooting at me. That seems like a good time to start powering things up. Ideally, I'd have the ammo running already. Yeah. Fine, we'll power it up now. Oh, these are on passive mode. They're not going to shoot at me until I shoot at them. Oh, that failed. Okay, check your belts beforehand. That goes in there. Alright, so we're going to run in ammo. These will load up these guys. And the Trident method works by just sheer overwhelming gunpowder. Gunpowder? Yeah. Because we're just loading in ammo, as long as Icarus stands reasonably close, even if you don't have babs, you can do an awful lot of repairing and keeping these guns alive. By all means, if you have the battlefield analysis buildings unlocked, you can dump these in on one side, not on the other side, because the power won't quite reach. And this is going to provide you 12 extra drones. Cool, thanks. 12 extra drones to do the repairs, and with a couple of these, generally you can keep things repaired. Don't forget that the plasmas are going to be very, very nasty. Plasmas will generally one-shot these guys. Yes, much like they'd normally one-shot in Icarus. Unfortunately, I have a number of upgrades, so they're actually hitting my shield. Are they hitting my shield? They're not hitting my shield. They're just pounding into that gun, which is being repaired as fast as possible. Yeah, but as you can see, we are decimating the front of this base, and we've already taken out, well, buildings left, right, and center. And then as soon as this enters its suppressed turbo mode, that's when we're going to start making serious damage to the front of this base. Okay, so this is a great method. It works wonderfully. It's really designed for lower level bases, but it can work for higher level bases as well. Okay, so this is one method that works. Second method, which is what a lot of people prefer, especially as they start dealing with larger and larger bases, is, well, planetary missiles. I have over here a whole battery bank of missiles, and if we turn on our range, we can see they're only going to shoot this far. It's not very far at all. But what we can do is we can put down a signal tower. Now, what a signal tower does is it has this blue range here, and anything in that blue range it can paint, much like, you know, the modern military paints targets to be hit from, you know, attack vessels, attack planes, etc., with large missiles from far away. And, well, anything that's been painted can be shot by the missiles. So if I dump you there, and then I just build that real quick, we're going to see you are suddenly full of red hit points, as are you, as are you. And that is because I have a whole bunch of missiles flying around the planet, well, coming and shooting everything in range. Now, as you can see, I'm definitely losing my little tower, but the good news is I can destroy that anytime I want. Anything that's been pre-painted is still painted. So if you put you here, which is technically in their base, and they may or may not aggro on it, all depends on how lucky you get, and then put a second one here, they're now going to aggro on this because it has power. The catch is it's painted everything in the base, and as long as I remove that before it gets destroyed, well, everything that was painted is still painted. Yeah, so it does a very good job of clearing out some of the friends. Okay, and I forgot to add, whilst talking about signal towers, the other thing a signal tower does do is it will actually attract attacking waves. Now, obviously, being on a passive map, there are no attacking waves here, so I can't show you one live, but what will actually happen is that if you put down a signal tower, they'll actually wander towards it. Like, every single attacking wave will wander towards whichever signal tower is closest to them, which does mean you have a very good way of, well, corralling the dark fog into death box. So keep that in mind. Now, that's all well and good if you want to make planetary bases, and you want to land on the planet, and you want to make sure that you build a whole battery bank of missiles and all sorts of things. But as you get late game, super late game, you just don't want to deal with this stuff anymore. But Icarus is maybe still a little bit too squishy to deal with like 25 level bases and 30 level bases. What you can do is enter into combat mode. Combat mode with Z. Okay, and in combat mode, you have a list of squadrons. And if I enable them, and then, well, go close to something, they'll fly out and they'll start, you know, doing things and attacking things, and they'll do it all automatically. But if I want to have Icarus way back here where he's safe, he's outside the plasma range, he's outside the laser range, he's very, very safe right here. And then clicked on them to enable them. Once they're enabled, if I hold down control and I click over here, well, they fly over there, which is good. Fly over there, please. Okay. And then where they fly is relative to which way Icarus is looking. So if Icarus is looking this way and I have them fly to the right, and then I was to, you know, face this way for argument's sake, they'd fly so they're still on Icarus's right. Or if I face this way, they'll fly so they're on the right again. Now, if I tell them to move to, say, like here, oh, bad vessels. Cool. If I tell them to fly to, like, you know, right in front of me, like good distance, and then I go back and I face that base, my fleet comes in ahead of me. And, well, they just show up and things go away. And the good news is, like, I can tick on them again, and then they just all come home. And they all enabled. Cool. They all disappear, and well, that planetary base has also been removed. As I said, there are a couple of ways to seal these guys up. This is a great one by just, you know, dumping this in the hole, and then we're all good. Okay, other thing we should mention is I did show you with that particular one how you can, well, shoot high air objects, i.e., you know, relay stations. But you can set all of these to upper air. So if I set you to upper air, you actually have a range of 4,200 meters for upper air. So I can hit that relay station from all the way back here without too much trouble. Now, I did say, and I did mention, that if you shoot these things, because they actually operate, well, they're owned by the Hive, we're going to see that the Hive number Y, this one, is going to both level up in experience and also threat. Normally it would level up in threat. I don't have to worry about threat because we're in passive mode here, which means that they shoot at me after I shoot at them. But if you take out a relay that's still in space, so if we zoom out, and we can see we have, well, one relay on this planet. And where's our other planets? Here we go. Theta has multiple relays. And where's our other planet? Oh, it's right here. This also has 2 relays. But each Hive is going to have a couple of bonus relays that they could send out and would send out in the future. If I was to, well, make sure that I had a few of these spaced reasonably around the planet, 4,200 meters is, well, the planet diameter is, no, radius is 400 meters, I believe. So 4,000 meters is like, yeah, roughly half a planet, give or take. Roughly. Maths is going to be hard with that one because curves and all sorts of things. Spheres are hard, okay? But yes, you can definitely look up the details on the wiki on exactly what the diameter and radius of the planet is. They ain't that big. But the point is, if you put a couple of these all around the planet, which are automatically defaulted to space, if and when new relays come in, they generally get shot down whilst they're still a space target before they're a planetary target, which means, good news, it doesn't increase the threat for, well, the dark fog hives in space. But yes, like I said, you can definitely keep these well out of range and target these guys. The other thing we can do is, if I have some spaceships, can I get some spaceships, please? Can I get some spaceships and put those in the space category? Cool. And can I go into combat mode, switch to space? There is also an option to attack relay station. So if I enable these guys, oh, it's dead already. Yep. Done. Very quickly. Just vaporized. Vaporized off the face of the planet, really. Very, very quickly, because the relays don't really have a lot of hit points when compared to the other spaceships you're going to have to deal with in the future. But we're going to be covering those in more details when we get to talking about hives in the future. Can I enable that weapon? And is there any chance I could hit just that target? Yep, and pop, and you now have the core destroyed. Okay, turn that back off. Okay, so with the core destroyed, the power taken down as well, this will eventually die over time and become... you still really want to shoot Icarus? That's right, you just ran out of power. It's fine. This will eventually become very, very... Oh. What's Icarus shooting? Please stop. Please stop. Deactivate. Cool. Yes, this will eventually run out of power in time. Even the guideways are going to run out of power eventually. They do store a lot of power and don't use a lot of power. But yeah, they'll eventually run out of power in a little while. And yes, we always have the option of... I don't have enough foundation. Building's not fully destroyed. Oh, of course, I need to fully destroy the buildings. Well, this one's fully destroyed. Where was the third base? Did I already fill it in? I already filled it in. It's fine. It's been filled in. Oh, one other thing I should mention is if you think that a water world would be safe, got bad news for you. The water world won't be safe. If we look at this building, how it has these weird artifacts around this lake, it's because, well, the hives do, well, sorry, the planetary bases will fill in the water underneath them. This is why there's a couple little puddles over here and some puddles over here. They'll happily fill in the land underneath them so they can build. Anyway, with all that said and done, I think this is all I have to cover for planetary bases. I don't think there's anything else. Yes. And we're going to be covering a whole separate video on the hives in, well, tomorrow's video. So I recommend you click subscribe if you haven't already, because you want to find out more about the hives, more about hives, more how to deal with the hives, and more importantly, how to either kill them or starve them, preferably from a safe distance. Yeah, anyway, that's it. I'm out. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in, well, the very next Dark Fog Dossier.